Oh shit, I forgot to actually rate this one. I already made like 2 other videos on this today. But anyways, let's go! The 1987 HELLRAISER, where you don't know whether to feel scared or horny. For some people, both. Anyways, let's get into it. Okay, so there's this guy who doesn't clean out from under his fingernails, which is gross, but that also means he's supposed to represent a bad guy. Also, he carries a switchblade around everywhere, like this is the 50s. Anyway, he was somewhere overseas, and he buys like this puzzle box looking thing from this guy in the shop. And then he takes it into a room and he lights candles around himself, which I guess didn't need to be done, because it wasn't a factor any other time. Again, possibly horny. But anyways, he's in like his little ritual room, and then he actually opens it, and these scary guys pop out. This guy has like nails in his face, and one of them has like, okay, so she looks like this guy, but instead of nails in her face, there's this like opening on her neck, but it kind of looks like a vagina. I'm not kidding. Then there's a guy who only has like, he doesn't have like lips, so you can see all his gums and his teeth, and that's kind of creepy. And one like kind of gelatinous looking dude. These are called Cenobites. They take you to hell and they torture you. And they said it's supposed to represent like pain and pleasure. There's meat hooks involved and like pieces of flesh and shit. Anyways, they make that disappear from the house that all this happened in, except for the heart under the floorboard. Well, the house that he was staying in was his mom's, but he has a brother, and then the brother decided out of nowhere to move into this house with his wife. And he also has a daughter in college, but that's not her mom, that's her stepmom. Which the house is generally beautiful, however, this house has a serious black mold problem on top of other problems because there was like rotting food and all this other shit in there. But specifically, the black mold problem. But my question is, why are 2 fairly well-to-do empty nester yuppies of the 80s having to move into a house with black mold? They never specified why they had to leave Brooklyn. Moving forward. Okay, so this lady over here is Julia. Julia is the wife of Larry, and Larry is the brother of Frank, who is that ne'er-do-well who bought the puzzle box and is now being tortured in hell. Larry does not know this. And on the flip side, Julia, up until like her wedding, was having an affair with Frank. And they can definitely tell Frank's been living in there because that's all his random shit. Like photos of him having sex with random women. And she's having like some sort of weird flashback scenario in the room that had all of Frank's shit in it. Well, while she's in that room reminiscing about getting wienered, her husband Larry cut his hand on a nail and it started dripping blood. Well, he ran in there to show her because he doesn't do well with blood, and it started dripping on the floor, and then the floor soaked it in, and they went to the hospital. When they came back, she went in there, and there was like pieces of Frank. Did you ever see Attack on Titan? It's got the big human-looking monster, but it doesn't have skin, but you can see like all the muscle movements and bones and shit. That's what it looks like, except slimy. I know, sounds gross, right? So we have slimy Attack on Titan monster, who was actually Frank. Well, something about the blood on the floor brought Frank back from hell, and he managed to steal the puzzle box while he was there. And if he can become fully human, you know, kind of like the mummy where he needs like pieces of people, he can escape the Cenobites and then they won't be able to find him, or so he thinks. But that means he needs blood from like multiple bodies. But I don't necessarily know if you have to kill someone in order to get the blood. Like we made a really big jump from, hey, I need blood, to let's murder people. I mean, we could take certain products and like wring them out on the floor. That might work. Maybe the blood bank. I hate to say it, animals? I just feel like we went from 0 to 100 very quickly. But anyway, so between the murder and the half man in the room, Julia's kind of in a tizzy, and it's got her husband really concerned. So the husband goes to his daughter and he's like, Kirsty, your stepmom's being weird. Can you go by there and make sure she feels better? And Kirsty's like, yeah! Actually, she's more like, sure. But anyway. Well, she sees her stepmom bring a man in, and she thinks she's just having an affair. But come to find out, she's murdered. And then Kirsty goes in to be like, haha, I caught you. But then her half-uncle comes in, and then he starts hitting on her. Ew. And he tries to attack her, and she steals the puzzle box and throws it out of the window, and then she runs out of the house and picks it up. Freaks out, ends up in a hospital, starts playing with the puzzle box in the hospital, and actually accidentally opens the Cenobites. The Cenobites want to take her down, and she's like, no, wait a minute, I can lead you to the guy who escaped. And they're like, why would we want him? You look like fun too. I mean, we're not picky, but okay, if you can find him too, or if you can find him, we'll take him. But if you mislead us, we're taking your ass. So she runs back home. She's trying to save her dad because she thinks her dad is next to be murdered, which he was, but he's already been murdered, and fucking Frank is using Larry as a human skin suit. And then there's a lot of fighting, trying to get Kirsty, but then they catch Frank, but then they still want her, and she zaps him back into the box. And then she throws the box in the house fire, because obviously everybody's dead, and how is she going to explain that one? But then this guy who was eating crickets inside of the pet store comes out of nowhere, picks up the puzzle box, turns into like this fire phoenix bone bird thing, and flies away. And I guess takes it back to its originator. The end. Did I like it? Yes. It was a 90-minute movie. It didn't give me too much unnecessary information. The monsters were cool. I have no qualms. 10 out of 10. Yeah, 10 out of 10. Okay, bye. I'll have a box of the hot tamales then.